Hi and welcome to my video. If it's your first time here, welcome to my channel. I'm Anila and I post recipes every Monday. This week I'm sharing a recipe for an instant dhokla, perfect for the Diwali season. You can whip it up in no time, it's foolproof, and you can always serve it up with a beautiful chai service. I'm also going to share some tips and tricks for making a very physically attractive dhokla that will impress your guests even more. This dhokla is made primarily from besan or chickpea flour, and that is going to give it a very light and fluffy texture. In addition to that, we're going to add a bit of sooji or semolina for some springiness, some haldi for its color. You'll need a pack of eno, a cup of water, a bit of yogurt, some finely grated ginger, fresh lemon juice, sugar, and salt. For what is normally considered a very simple recipe, this uses a remarkable number of ingredients, but I assure you that the methodology is quite simple and you should be able to pull this off. So my first tip is to add all of the ingredients to a bowl except for the eno. Now, most people know this, but I'm just going to reiterate it. Do not add the eno at this point. The eno, which is the sodium bicarbonate and citric acid, is what gives this dhokla its reaction so that it can rise once you set it over the steam. Usually dhoklas are made by fermenting, but that takes a very long time. So to make an instant dhokla, you need that eno. And if you add it now, the reaction won't last long enough for you to take advantage of. I like to start mixing with a whisk because it helps me to scrape the sides of my dish, but that is only a personal preference. You can mix with whatever you have. I do eventually go over to a spatula so that I can really scrape all of the batter out of my bowl, but again, that is a personal preference. My next tip would be to have a pan, like I use this sort of steel pan, but it depends on what you have available to you, but have this thing ready, have a steel pan ready and oiled, waiting nearby, so that once you mix the eno in, like I'm doing right now, and it's thoroughly combined and that reaction has happened, you will pour your batter directly into that oiled steel dish. You want to have that dish sitting nearby, waiting to go. Here's my dish. And I have, it's not a double boiler, it's like a really big pot with a steaming attachment. That is what I use for making my dhokla, but you can also create a kind of double boiler at home with what you have. Sometimes mommy will boil a big pot of water and she'll put a katori or a smaller steel bowl inside that and then rest her dish on top of that. That does the trick just as well, if not better. So now you need to get this dhokla steaming. Once you set it over the boiling water or in whatever sort of double boiler situation you've created, cover it up and steam it for anywhere between 16 to 18 minutes. Once that's on, we're going to work on the tempering, which consists of green chilies, black mustard seeds, asafoetida, and curry leaves, which are not pictured here. The day that I made this, I remember it clearly. I was very distracted and I didn't even realize that I had not added the curry leaves. But don't worry, keep watching because I actually do make the connection later on. So add all of these ingredients into a pan. You could use a ladle or a karchi as well with some oil. I just use a pan because I like to have more space. And set this over medium-high heat. You're going to want to cover it up because the mustard seeds will spatter, but this should take anywhere from 4 to 5 minutes. I would suggest that you not go too far from it. Some people like when the chilies burst, some people don't like when the chilies burst. Here's a little peek at what's going on inside, and once you hear those mustard seeds popping, just shut this off and remove it from the element. And directly into this pan, you're going to add a bit of sugar and salt. Don't worry, the measurements and all that will be written down below. And a cup of water. And then mix everything together. And at this point in the process, I remember that I was vaguely aware of the fact that there were no curry leaves in here. I was like, aren't there supposed to be curry leaves? Where are they? So I went back into the kitchen, I tempered about 5 to 6 curry leaves, and then added them in. So if roughly like 16 to 18 minutes have gone by, you're going to want to rescue your dhokla. You can certainly use the old toothpick trick to see if it's fully steamed through. And then for ease of extraction, I will give you the tip that everyone knows, which is to run a knife along the side of the dish. But perhaps the best and biggest tip I could give you would be that for a physically attractive dhokla, you absolutely should flip it over. If you're enjoying your dhokla on your own at home and you don't want to do this step, then that's certainly fine. But if you have guests coming over, you should by all means flip over your dhokla. And if there's any chance that your mother-in-law doesn't ever flip over her dhokla, then you have to do it because everyone will be so impressed by the smooth surface of your dhokla. The way you cut your dhokla very much depends on the eating situation. If you have a lot of guests coming over, first of all, you might want to make more than one, and you might want to cut it into smaller pieces. Diamond is always very popular. But if it's just a couple people, then you could cut this up like a cake. I've done that too. And then dress the top of your dhokla with the tempering elements. I like to place the chilies where I want them, and then pour the rest of it, covering as much of the dhokla as possible. And then my final tip, even though I did not list it among the ingredients, is to garnish your dhokla with a little freshly chopped coriander. It really just makes it look so beautiful, and it really ties the whole thing together. This is a great snack to make around Diwali because when you think of all the sweets and fried foods that we tend to eat at this time of year, this is comparatively healthier. You can certainly have dhokla at any time of year and any time of the day. It's great as a breakfast, but if you are going to serve it as part of a tea service or a chai service, you're going to want to have the dhania chutney as well. So I will link that recipe for you above and below, as well as the chai recipe. Thanks so much for spending time with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did, and I'll see you next week with another recipe. Bye-bye.